All right, we went ahead and rebooted the video here, and just to drive home the principles that Shane's talking about, we're going to take Jermaine Guy here, and we notice that when he comes to toe touch and his heel plants, how the hands make that circular motion, and the elbow will naturally follow where the hands are going. We can tell that elbow right there at this frame to this frame point how it's one to clear out. Now, it's not because he's picturing pushing the elbow or the knob to the ball or anything like that. It's simply that's the force that produces, or that's the force that gets produced once we go into rotation. Everything becomes circular, not like a spin, but just a rotational axis from that point. And that's what's really causing his elbow to come down to that point right there and then come out and back around. Now, it's just, like I said, you don't want to tell your players that they necessarily have to do that, because it's a natural movement of the body. And if it's a natural movement of the body, you really don't want to explain to your player when they're trying to produce X amount of force that, hey, little Johnny, your elbow needs to do something like this, because the reality is that if they're getting enough force with their rotation at that point, then everything else is going to come along with it. It's just like the dominoes falling down right there.
Travis, why don't we go ahead and go back to the side view here?
Okay, Shane, I will. Here you go.
Thanks.
No problem.
All right. Now, the one thing that we've been talking about is that back elbow. But the one thing we got to remember, what actually leads to the zone is going to be that front elbow. The back elbow can actually hinder your swing if you're letting that be the dominant arm in your swing. The front elbow has to lead all the way through the ball, through the zone. That elbow should hold that angle that you start with and go all the way through. And as you see, he's still holding his angle, getting through it. Watch as he comes forward where his hands are going. Now you see how he's holding that angle right there? That's where we want to be, because that's becoming the dominant arm. If we let that back elbow be dominant, it's going to hinder, because once it goes down your whole backside, you're going to lose everything on the backside, but we're trying to get to the front side and generate through the front.
And just to wrap it up, just like Shane's talking about, when we maintain that angle right there, what's going to happen is our hand placement to our bat lag will be dependent on where the pitch is. It'll just be location dependent. Since this pitch is obviously going to be a little bit higher, his hands are going to be just a little bit higher as well. But what we'll notice here is everything clears out into that rotation right there. Like we're talking about, the force produced is a direct proponent on the contact point of the ball. And even though we can't tell where his contact point is exactly, we can tell immediately right here that based on the trajectory of the ball, obviously he's getting the middle part of it or the lower part of it. But this obviously was a home run swing right here. So like we were talking about, our contact point would be everything in terms of producing force. If he hits the top part of the ball, obviously it's going to be top. Hits the middle part of the ball, obviously it has a better chance to be a line drive, better chance to go somewhere in the gap. If we did hit the very bottom part of the ball, more than likely that's going to be a pop-up. So that's why it's a good point to drive home, especially for the little leaguers out there, to really go for that middle part of that ball as much as you can.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Travis.